If you are curious about what happened with Lady Bugout and what decision I made for my future, keep watching and I will reveal what is behind this curtain. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dee, and for the past 4 years I converted a Ford Transit Connect into my tiny home on wheels. And about a month ago I had a cylinder valve go bad, and after seeing about 4 different mechanics, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. They all independently came to the same conclusion that for a Ford Transit Connect motor, it would be more cost effective to get an entirely new engine than to try to fix the valve independently, and with all of the work that would have to be done, dropping the engine, fixing the valve, soldering different parts and all that, the labor would come out to about the same. And initially when I checked out the prices for a remanufactured engine or a new used engine, the prices that I found were outrageous, and it was very depressing for me, and I was thinking that would just mean I would rather get a new van than get a new engine, because the cost was going to be pretty similar and at least I could finance a new van instead of have it come out of pocket or do a credit card. And for any of you who watched the last video, you could see that I was very upset. It threw me into a downward spiral, thinking that I was going to completely lose Lady Bugout. And for those of you who don't really know me, you thought I was overreacting, and why was I getting so emotional over a van? It's just a car, you can get a new one. But those of you who watch the channel regularly know that it had very sentimental value for me with the passing of my mom and the whole story of that. It's in other videos, I won't go through it now, but it was a very emotional thing, thinking that I was losing this van for all the reasons, really, of it just being my home, something that I had built from scratch. I was very attached to it. And at the end of that video, I suggested 3 scenarios that seemed the most likely options for me. One was to get a new used van because the prices of the engines were very high, I thought. And the second option was to get a new engine, remanufactured engine, and try to save Lady Bugout in some way. And the third option I posed was really something that at the time seemed like might just be the reality for me, which was to give up on van life and do something different, that maybe that was just its time had run its course and that I should be thinking of something new for my future. And I asked you to give me your opinions in the comments. I wasn't asking for money. I didn't need money. I was just asking really for your opinions, because it was something that was so emotional for me. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making a decision based on that, rather than really logically thinking through my next steps. And I got so many comments to date. I think it's over 3,000 comments, and I have looked at every single one of those comments. A lot of mechanics out there assured me that the mechanics were trying to scam me in some way and that there was a better way. And I'm sure that if I were a mechanic, I would probably take the time, do the work, and it would be more cost effective for me to simply rebuild my own engine. I'm not a mechanic. The mechanics that I consulted independently all came to the same conclusion, and I did my due diligence online and listening to all of you who really, I listened to your advice. I asked the questions that you wanted me to ask to the mechanics, all of them differently, and I was very assured after doing that nobody was trying to scam me. They gave me the explanation, which I was going to get online, but I decided that was a little intrusive. But they told me why, in very detailed explanation, it would not be cost effective for me to just replace the valve with the Ford Transit Connect engine. And that's fine, whatever. I mean, maybe I did get scammed, but I believe after consulting several and then looking online and seeing what costs were to repair certain things and how people said, yeah, the Ford Transit Connect engine is a little complicated or problematic in that area, and you're going to do a lot of labor for just trying to salvage those parts or replace a part, which then another valve might go, and so on. So after doing my due diligence and asking all the right questions, I believe, especially a lot of them coming from you, I was satisfied that nobody was colluding to try to scam me. And I proceeded with that thought in mind. And as I said, the reason I asked for advice in the first place was because I was emotional about the thought of losing my van, and I knew that the input from you would be so helpful to me as I thought through all the scenarios and options that I had. And it really did turn out to be to my benefit. I knew the decision was ultimately up to me, but I really wanted the input. And what it really made me think of is what I want my next 5 to 10 years to look like. I had to stop and I had to think about that as I was waiting and getting answers back about what I was going to do with my van. I've always wanted to buy land, for instance, and that has always been one of my long-term goals, to have a place to park it, so to speak, and have others be able to come and visit, or maybe have it on hip camp where others can enjoy it. And so that has always been a long-term goal of mine. But for the short term, it really made me question myself and whether I wanted to continue with van life, or if there was some other short-term goal that I wanted to accomplish during this time. And a lot of you were very discerning and saw it written all over my face that I was not ready to give up my dream of van life just yet, and that it still has a way to go before I settle down on a piece of property somewhere. And then as I made my way through the comments, there was a general consensus. I mean, you were all over the place, but as I kept reading and reading, I saw a lot of you have a general curiosity about what it would be like for me to build out another van. And some of you had very strong opinions about what van I should or should not choose were I to build out another van. And some of you were really, really rooting for Lady Bugout, saying, no, you can't lose her, just as my heart was in that, to never want to lose Lady Bugout. Someone even suggested that I get a truck and haul her behind me on a trailer. And I think that was one of the more unique solutions that I got. So many of you had great ideas, and it made me laugh, it made me dream, it made me think that there is a future beyond Lady Bugout, and I took that to heart, and it kept me going when I was so sad about what I was losing. There were probably 15 different types of vans that you kept mentioning. 5 really stand out as the top 5, which were, I wrote them down, not in any particular order, but Toyota Sienna minivan, Toyota Prius, Ram ProMaster, Ford Econoline, or join the growing Honda Element conversion community. Then many of you, like me, were thinking of just get another Ford Transit Connect. How hard could that be? And you've got the stuff. You could basically take everything that you've got in Lady Bugout and put it in a new Ford Transit Connect. So those were all very valid choices, especially the Ford Transit Connect, because there were some very real reasons why I had chosen a Ford Transit Connect in the first place. And those are still true for me. So I considered a Ford Transit Connect probably as the top priority in my list of choices. And I had several offers from you, and I thank you to those of you who said, hey, I have a Ford Transit Connect. And there was one really good offer, and I don't know, I think it's for sale, and if it is for sale, I'll put it in the description. But I was seriously going to go and pick that van up. It was so cute, and it looked like it was a red Ford Transit Connect. It looked like a little lady Bugout. So that was something that I was seriously considering. So enough of all that. I know that you're here because you want to see what choice I have made. I am sitting in it now, and you can have a drum roll, please. Hooray! I chose a high roof Ram ProMaster 2500 with a 136-inch wheelbase. Through the years, I have done a lot of research on Ram ProMasters, being the next step up from what I had with a Ford Transit Connect. I have always seen the conversions that people have done, and in my head have thought, there are things that I really love about that, but a lot of things that I could think of doing differently, and I would like to try them out. So that is where I'm at. I'm hoping that my van will be a little bit unconventional so that you can have some ideas that may be a little bit more out of the box thinking. And I'm going to try some experiments on this build that others haven't tried, or I've seen maybe a couple times people try them and thought they were a good idea. So I would like to show them to you and have you think through this with me as I build it out. It's just the right size. It's the smaller of the big vans. There is the 118-inch wheelbase in the Ram ProMaster, but I think that that's been phased out. So I am looking to this because it's definitely a step up from the space that I had before. I can stand up, as you can see. It's like a 6-foot ceiling, and it's 6 foot wide at the widest parts. And as I said, a 136-inch wheelbase, which makes it 110 inches from the back to where it ends before the cab area. I do plan, I think, on putting a divider wall between the cab area and the space behind here, so that might cut off a few inches there. That is usable space on the floor. But the idea then is, just to be able to create a comfortable space and experiment with some things, some unconventional ways of doing it. So all you real life van builders, don't harp on me too bad in the comments or anything like that. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to build it lighter and easier when you don't have a lot of tools or equipment available to you, but still make it look beautiful and luxurious and comfortable. And that, I think, is something that I am good at. And if you see my little build, you know that it was all about affordability and comfort and just a little bit outside of the box even there for how I built it out. Some people are going to say, oh, that's just stupid. But I think for some of you, if you're like me, where you say, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't know how much money I can put toward this, I don't know how much it's going to cost. I have been looking at this for a while and saying, what can I do to cut the time it takes to build this? And obviously there's going to be surprises in there, and I'll learn along with you as you watch me do it and make mistakes. And we'll see if it turns out. And I have to tell you a very interesting story about the confirmation that came to me when I was driving down the road. I was really thinking of my mom and how I would miss Lady Bugout, and all the confirmation that I had in buying that van. And my mom assigned to me that she was present with me after her passing was a little ladybug, which she had a tattoo of a ladybug. She loved ladybugs. And as I was thinking through that and just how this was a new step and a new adventure, a ladybug landed on my windshield. So if this isn't confirmation, I don't know what is. There is a ladybug in my windshield right now. I don't know, it won't focus, but she's right there. See her? She's crawling. Oh my gosh.
So that was a great confirmation to me. And for your information, I was able to save Lady Bugout. I waited and waited, but in the process, I was also looking for a new van because I didn't think that it was going to be possible to find a good remanufactured engine for a good price. And lo and behold, one popped up with a great price, had also about 64,000 miles on it with a year warranty or 100,000 miles. And I said, go for it. I want to save her. So I have the absolute best of both worlds. I get to remain in Lady Bugout and safe and sound as I build out this new van. Thank you so much for waiting and wondering and rooting for me as I've gone through this process. It means so much to me. I'm excited, and I hope that you are excited to see what this new chapter brings as well. I think that's it. I'll see you next time.